time to tidy this up. Taco already came off the same way as the speedo comes off. Just pull this R clip, remove that washer, it comes out from the back. Well, it's hard to get a run switch for under 20 quid, which is what I'm going to say this one is. And the way I've set this up, I've put the throttle cable down this gap because it seemed to be where it should go. The alternative would be to come round the headlight cowl. So it's, I mean, it's a, you know, it could have gone behind the brake hose really, but it's gone in front of the brake hose. I've got a feeling I'm going to need another one of these anyway. The multimeter is set up to the tail light and the negative, not very well on the negative, and that's the setup for the rear wheel switch. So when I activate the switch, the multimeter registers a reaction, it goes switch on, so that's my brake light working, or the rear brake light anyway. I haven't put the rear brake on yet. Okay, just started wiring in, actually it's the horn button, which comprises of this blue, pink and brown, which connects to these, the yellow and red, the pink and the blue. And in order to test it, I've actually got to hook up this blue, I think, to the ignition. I've got to find a way of shorting the ignition. Anyway, this one will go to the flasher relay, and this bunch connects to this, and unfortunately I haven't got the original bullet connector as you saw earlier. This is all just loose wires, so I've got to you know, convert it into a number 4 one of those, and it just leaves the yellow and the green for the high and low beam light switch here. And that's where the ignition switch will go. Here's where the front brake light goes, and these are the turn signals. And there's either the oil or the heat sensor. So I just gave this a quick clean and then a quick spray. £7.50 Halfords. Heat-resistant exhaust manifold paint, which I've used before. It's pretty crap. Not the best paint job in the world. But then again, it's not the best exhaust pipe in the world. I don't think I'll be spraying this one. It looks like it's got the original paint on it. Whilst it is a bit rusty, there's no point in spraying over its history. Yeah, so I've been wondering about these for ages, because I could see I saw the marks on the bottom of the frame, and yeah, along these came, and they need a clean obviously, because they spend a lot of time at the bottom near the road. Anyway, there's that one, and then there's this one that belongs higher up on the bike frame. And yeah, you know, I'd seen the bloody hole for it in the frame, wondered about them, and you know, they need a little brush there with a bit of maybe white spirit or WD-40. Still, they were necessary really, at not least to fill up the frame holes where there was stuff that should have been there. Okay, first of the jockey wheels, I suppose we call them, idle wheels, chain guide wheels. That goes there. So the top idle wheel goes there. That's nice, it's all screwed up. Screwed on, should I say. So here, I don't know what that is, it could be something to do with something. obviously. I think the coolant bottle goes there, and the coolant thingy goes in there, but there's also a pipe that goes all the way up to here. About time I thought about fitting a clutch lever, which comes down here, goes through there. But before I can fit it, I've got to put a cable holder here, and so I may as well put all the bolts holding the barrel on the block. So while I was here, I put all the matching barrel bolts on, and I put this on. This is a nice considerable thing. The new clutch cable, I think it goes either side like this. It's got a little gaiter, probably for that bit. And when I pull the clutch lever in, I mean, it feels like a clutch and it looks like a clutch. Here it is up here. Probably give that a bit of oil. So despite, you know, it looking like a clutch, you know, it working like a clutch, I can only find first gear in neutral, and when you pull the clutch in for first gear, it doesn't engage. So the fight continues. So I will have to be taking this thing to pieces. I think we got the oil drain is here, so we're going to have to drain whatever oil is in it. That'd be a good idea to have a look at it then. Didn't really want to mess with any of these gaskets and stuff, but you know, if it all comes off as one, then that's going to be good. But something's got to be wrong with it, because it ain't selecting more than one gear. So the first thing we're going to do is drain the transmission oil. So it's number 12. Okay, looks like water to start with. Definitely some, and that is definitely a bit of water. Oh man, look at this. What do you reckon that is? Solidified gear. It smells like gears. Oh crikey. What a bit. Oh man. That is so typical. It's emulsified, I think. That could all be, it's just emulsified. I forgot this is a, if it is a liquid cooled engine, this is what happens with a head gasket failure. So that's why there's so much water in there. It's not because it's been kept out in the river. It's cause that indicates a head gasket failure, come to think of it. It's starting to pee out now, isn't it? Yeah, the quantity is there, but it seems to have sort of silver paint in it. That could be emulsified water, or it could be something more serious. Certainly warrants further investigation. Yeah, so I just removed the clutch ready to take the motor block out, and I thought, you know, I'd have a look at it, and here we are in top gear with the piston going up and down. So if I go down one and then down another one, should be in third gear now, and down another one, it gets harder to turn this thing, so it should be in second gear. Now that could be second gear actually, so we should be in neutral, which it is, and then, oh hang on, it hasn't got any gearbox oil in it, that's the trouble. Yeah, and then you go into first, and it's really hard to turn it over. In fact, it's a two-hand job to turn it over. You'll have to trust me on that. But then you come up, it should be neutral. Alright, maybe it's a bit stiff, but look, there you go. And if I press the gearbox down, yeah, it wasn't turning the sprocket, although it is turning the sprocket there. So I don't really think there's anything wrong with the selector anymore, which is a bit strange. Could be that there was something in that fluid that was blocking it up, and it's... Anyway, I'm going to take the clutch cover off and have a look behind to make sure it has got a clutch. Or maybe I'll put the clutch cable back on and try the clutch again. So even with the clutch lever pulled on, if I try and... the sprocket's still turning the engine over. So the clutch is definitely not engaging, which means I have got to take the clutch cable, the clutch cover off. But I don't think I'll have to take the motor out of the frame again. A bit disconcerting this motor though, because it does rattle around in its mountings a bit if you actually get it at the right angle. Look at that. I know it's got the steady at the top isn't fitted, but I mean, should it actually do that? I find that really rather rubbishy, but whatever. I actually thought before I'd take the clutch cover off, I'd just put the chain on, because the old clutch might just free up with a chain on it. Anyway, so it was just undo this link, put the chain on when it's quite slack, so it was all hanging down here and stuff. Put the chain on when it's slack. Might have tightened it up a bit too much now, but this says 10. I'm pretty sure the other side says 10. It's very difficult to see the numbers. They might show up on the camera better actually, but I'm pretty sure it says 10 this side. Anyway, I've looked at it, it looks all square, and this is a brilliant tool for doing this great big 25 nut. Just turn it like that, although it's turning the other side at the moment. The paddock stand works alright, so long as you've got the wheel pointing in that direction. I put the chain on the other side. I put it in gear, walked it a couple of times with the clutch in, it's still not freeing up. So the clutch cover has got to come off. In order to do that, I've got to remove the this lower radiator, the bottom radiator hose. Okay, further to a bit of research, a damaged water pump seal will give you the effect of filling the transmission oil full of water. So it could exactly be what we've got. And I'm going to have a closer look at that. So it's time to take the kickstand off. See if we can't get into it. Okay, I was worried about using heat on this in case I just ended up having to change loads of oil seals as a result. So I gave this WD-40. I've left it overnight, and yeah, that's come off. Took quite a bit of force with an extension bar. So holding the, I held the lever because this is only plastic. That's only plastic, you can't really lean it up against there. Took a little bit of skin off, but it's well worth it because that's now going to come off. So I've got these loose. This one I had to cut a slot in. That's now loose. I don't know whether I think I've got to take the sump out. Now here we've got the water pump. I don't know how much of this has to come out before this will lift out. So I'm going to do the template, take them out and see where we go. Seems to be, this is the Rev Taco side of things. Now this is weird though, this gasket's been repaired at one point. These I've seen before. There's been some high pressure there, look. It's a bit strange. Can't really see any outward signs of damage. It's well drained anyway. Oops. We'll need a new clutch cover gasket, I should think, because this has been had a repair, man. I don't like repaired gaskets. Oh well, we said we were going to dissect the clutch. And oh look, this is very loose. How interesting. I mean, I don't think it should be that loose. I might need a clutch holding tool. Could be slow progress. Right, this mark, this means something. Removing the push rod adjustment lock nut. I put that to one side. Doesn't matter which way it goes. I've got to wash it here. That's going to come out as well. Put them in a box. But these 8mm bolts, you can undo these by hand now. Probably easier just to whip them off with a screwdriver. Okay, the mark here corresponds to this mark here. And that way, that will sit flush when those line up. So the ball has come out on the end of the push rod with a magnet. There's quite a lot of available, I think it is the right ball. They've adjusted it down there. Quite a lot of adjustment available. That might have been the problem. Okay, turning the motor on its side, giving it a little persuasion. The left hand push rod has come out, and so that meant the push rods were complete. However, I would say that the adjustment screw is a bit rounded off actually. I have to see about that. But it was unadjusted. I've put the clutch plates here upside down, but already looking at it, half of them are stuck together, and the damper rings as bent up as it can be. So I've got my clutch the right way up as it came out of the machine, and I've got my plate of glass, a vernier caliper. I'm just going to get the dimensions, really feeler gauge, and we'll see if we've got any bent up stuff. Okay, the first friction plate is good, but I think it should be noted that this is totally stuck together. You know, this is not coming apart. This it's totally stuck together. I can't believe it. You know, I'm trying to get this plate off, and you know, I'm going to have to get that in the vise. Gets a clean bill of health. Looks good. Okay, before replacing the clutch rods, it's important to check that this inner turns independently of this outer, which it does. If it wants to. So it did seem like a good time to put my grease nipple rubber covers on. So I've done that. I'm not sure I'll be able to get the grease gun in between the front of this and that, with the chain in the way anyway, but you can never tell, can you? Just noticed a strange hole there. I wonder what that is. Looks like it could be threaded or something. Oh, there's one here as well. Have a look at that. So obviously before I can power up the harness at all, I'm going to need a battery, and this is the battery holder. Then the airbox goes on from this side and they join together. Screws on from the front like that, that's for sure. That joins the two together, and that's it actually for the battery box. Apart from up here, it combines with the airbox. I don't know what this is yet. The airbox is held in by this one down there. I hope I picked that out. Yeah, and that's the airbox. We need to find out actually what this is for. Something definitely goes there. I don't know what that is. I now have the rear suspension mud flap part that fits in that gap where I wondered what was there. That just needs to find a couple of M6 screws and that will go on. And there's some dubbings missing from here. The air filter, a guide and a wing nut. Can't quite see the point of this, but it also says it's a DT200 piece 3ET, which is a bit strange. Don't quite know how well it goes in, but so I'm really pleased with the way my Yam Bits front brake switch went in. Trouble is, of course, someone's torn my loom up, so the original fitting's probably going to have to be rewired. Anyway, if I put the probe in, oh yes, that's a live one. Just out because it wouldn't matter anyway, because it's not hooked up. So I put the probes in the switch. Show you my continuity, and there it is. Just touch of the brake lever, and just a touch of the brake lever and it goes, so that's good. Wire that in then. So testing the horn switch with a multimeter, I've reconnected this earth wire. Anyway, so I've connected the harness to the horn, the multimeter is in the horn. There's the multimeter. When I press the horn button like this, yeah, so it works, right? Finally. And indoors I actually got the indicators working as well. So that, as far as I know, that works. So later on, when we come to adjust the clutch, this little point here and this little mark here, when you push the actuator arm forward, they line up. That's what that's all about. Alright, it's a bit of a heartbreaker, but I've got to take this genuine Yamaha connector swap it for this cheap replacement, because that one matches it, which has to go on this rewire job. Right, so after wiring it up wrong to start with, put a sensor over the brake light, a sensor on the earth. Let's have a look, because actually it wasn't on the earth there. So sensor on the brake light, sensor on the earth. Let's pull the brake light and see what happens. Hey, check it out. So that is a brake light working. Front one. We'll check the rear one as well. So just temporarily. Yep, there you go. So that's something that works on this bike. These clutch retaining bolts, 5.8 Newton meters. It's quite light. They were 2 millimeters too short. So, you know, they don't hold out every hotel work, but we'll see what happens. So just done a quick wire job over the indicators. The brown has to go into a black wire, which is a bugger. I've kept the green normal. I'll put them into this so that there wouldn't be any confusion. That's all done up to here, which is ignition control unit stuff, which we're not going to use. And this looks like kickstand cut-off switch, which we're probably not going to use either after all that. Just had a busy little soldering iron section, so I've soldered the main 6 together, which leaves these 2 floaters, the oil ones together. The 2 floating blues, which I need to check out. The relay still needs wiring up, and the indicators, front indicators, still need to be sorted because that's a bit low. There's an earth here, black one floating around. There's a double black there, which I put a rather confusing wire on. Could be the stop switch or something I've forgotten. Oh yeah, and there's the lights off the controls. Right, so further to the wiring diagram, this blue wire, which in theory could come from a later CDI I get with a sky blue input and a blue output, this blue wire would have to go to the what I call the big 6, which is this one, this control unit which plugs in to the tacho. Now the blue we looked at actually comes out on this green one. Okay, so what we could do is just switch it out of that green one, put it in there. Now there's also a blue that goes to the ignition cluster, which I'm looking for. Here it is. Okay, now we need to find where that blue goes to, because if it goes to our other one here, then we could be in luck. Okay, here's the connector I call YPL. Now the blue of the YPL goes to this blue here. Okay, and this blue wire connects to the ignition switch. The blue wire here connects to what I would call the CDI wire. Now due to have a closer look. So I took the sky blue one out of this big 6, and I managed to take this blue from what I would call the CDI wire out of this green one. Now I can probably put that straight in here, and that would take me as the diagram says, from the CDI to the big 6. I don't understand it, I've got to say. So what I'm going to do with this sky blue, which carries a current from both the neutral switch and the oil level sensor, I'm just going to cover that in black tape and leave that. So that blue wire comes from the CDI, and it probably carries the signal to the neutral light, which it would do, but this means I'm going to need a new CDI. And the next thing is the what I call the YPL. That blue light goes to one of these two here, and one of those has to be split off into a twosome. I'm going to have to do this another time when I've got some more time, but if I join this blue wire and that blue wire, then the YPL will join up with the ignition. I bring the wire off there and I can join up this indicator wire, or this meter wire, and then the meter wire that comes out of the clock, speedo clock, which I'm going to change for that big 4 connector. It does make sense. Water pump dismantle, take 1. I'm going to remove this circlip. The circlip remover. Okay, remove the circlip. Put it in a little safe place. I'm going to mark it with a Sharpie here, just so I know what way up it goes, just in case there was a sort of way up it goes. And it'll be commensurate with the commensurate with the wear that's been going on there. So now this washer, which again I might mark with a Sharpie pen. I'll place it in my container that way up. And now this pinion or drive gear, which that recess is for the pin, which you can see in place, so you know it goes this way up. That's the face. The pin just pulls out. Right. And then there's a thrust washer there. So I'll put that back in there. Put that one down there. These are probably identical. I could measure those up. Okay. And now the impeller is moving up and down. And I'm going to turn it over and take the cover off. So I just had to use several licks to get this pretty hot. Loads of WD-40. Started to get it a little bit looser. Pipe's still stuck in there. It's on the dowel pins. Oh crikey, I wasn't even recording. Oh well, pulled this out, don't look too bad. That's the seal, there's a dowel, there's another dowel. So closer inspection underneath this rubber hose that's on there. Actually got a break there. Explains why that rubber hose was on there. Probably a break under there as well. Probably a break under there as well. Definitely think this is crimped over and hurt that. I have to think about getting a new one of these actually while I'm here. It's evidence that that's where the old clip was brazed on, one of these things. it back on the other side. Now ready to drift out the old oil pump seal by sticking something like a thin drift down that hole and giving it a tap. Let's have a go. Check out the corrosion. It's totally rusted in there underneath the rubber. Absolutely connected to the metal. You're supposed to drift it. It's drifted straight through. Hello drift hole. Look at that. It's the hole in the back where you're supposed to drift through it. Making this rather difficult to get out. I was going to buy a slide hammer, but I used a screwdriver instead and it's done the trick. So back at the clutch cover and water seal, it says water side up, so it goes this way up. It's going to go in the hole. Incidentally, this is proof that you can turn a nail on the lathe, or on my lathe. I didn't film it, but it was quite an interrupted cut. It was wobbling around like that. It's quite hard to cut. So I've removed the headlight fairing to put the ignition switch in. So it now has a key. It's going to be a lot of fun to get a key ring. And that's going to hook up to this little section as soon as I've made sure that it's safely going to match all the wires up. Just fabricated this indicator here, so it bolts onto the bike frame and the indicator goes through there. It's tight, but if I sprayed it black it wouldn't look half bad really. Did the first ear and it could do with a tweak to point it forward. Of course the bracket brake, if I just tried to tweak it on the bike, I need to just do some maths here. It needs to bring this part forward, but if you bring it too far forward you won't be able to do the bolt up. So maybe it actually needs a twist in the body of the ear itself. Well, I've got it straight at the moment, so I just put a kink in it. In the Yamaha ones I've actually got a zigzag shape, so they've probably got an angle there. But I mean, to be honest, I don't really think it makes any freaking difference. Do you know what I mean? It's on there good and strong. And that's just a question of a tiny little angle, which doesn't make any difference really. So anyway, I can wire that in to the rest of it, or get on with making the other one, which I think I'll do, so that we can snap it off in the garage. Now while I know those indicators aren't perfectly straight, particularly the one on the right there, at least it's got character. Okay? Right, so I just attached the one on the left to look more like the one on the right. Whatever. Got to remember to thread the clutch cable through there, because at the moment it's here and it won't go through once it's fitted. So I mean, that has got to go in there. While it's not connected, you can thread it through. Alright, I've put the motor back in the frame. And while I was doing that, this washer seemed to fall out of the engine. And now it won't rotate. It seems that the gear selector doesn't work. So whether there's something stuck in it, whether the kickstart idler has played up, who knows. Alright, one little thing, it's easy to mess about with this shaft with the clutch cover off, and you can, I jammed the engine, had to go out, had to come in, back where I was. that's what an adjusted clutch looks like. So when I pull it in, the little spike points just over the little mark. I've got the lock cover on. I mean, it looks pretty precarious, but I think it's got the wrong springs in. Anyway, so I think it's in neutral at the moment, so if I back it up, okay, backed up, let's put it in second gear, way up. Oh, the little man's fallen out. I'll start again. Alright, just put it in first. Okay, so the piston's going up and down. And I put the clutch in, and it is up. So the clutch is in, and the piston, so if I drop the clutch, it starts, pull it in, drop it, pull it in, oh, hang on. It's a bit icky, isn't it? Okay, after a bit of research, pretty sure my mystery thrust washer goes against this tacho pinion. It's not held on with any sort of it's held on by the crank case right hand cover, the clutch cover. So it just goes in there. It's so that when this comes out, it just doesn't rub off. So that's that mystery solved. I didn't even foresee the problem that if you put the flasher relay on this way round, you obscure the speedo. So it has to, it's got to come off and rotate round and just go on so that the speedo is here. The flasher relay is here. Rather a rush job really, because even though it's all wired up, I mean, I'm not really sure I like this, the way this is like, you can see all this black, you can't see squat there. And I've had to screw this in at a bit of a fucking angle. So it's a bit of a bloody bugger really. Next in is of course got to wire in this stop switch. I'm going to wire that into down here. Torque on this nut is 43 foot-pounds, so I'm going to have to leave that for a bit because I can't actually still the engine, I don't think, to 43 foot-pounds. I'll have a go at stilling it on the flywheel. So I've got a battery and it's got screw-in terminals, which is fair enough. Now I've got the old fuse box here. I want to fit the fuse box before I hook the battery up. Okay, the way I've wired the fuse box, it doesn't actually fit in the fuse box holder. Which is boring. So I'll end up cable tying these wherever they have to be. Now, I don't know what goes there. There's rather strange shapes. Still, I'm going to load this battery up and have a close look at those front indicators. Oh, well, my camera broke, so I've had to wait till I get a new camera. Meantime, the water pump is fitted, and then so the clutch cover is fitted with the new gasket. The tacho cable is in position with a makeshift O-ring. The little box is in position, which is the YEIS, Yamaha Energy Induction System, I think. I've put some pipes from the cylinder head to the carburetor, the warmer pipes. Right, the cylinder head is the wrong one, but it fits if you take the barrel off and then fit it. This could be a slight issue. The warmer pipes go from the head to the carb. There is a spark because we changed the CDI out. I'll put some two-stroke in there. There's water in the radiator. The front brake works. What a difference a few days makes. Oh yes, right, further to last time. Well, the ignition definitely all works, and here is the proof. Oh look, flashing indicator. And the one at the back is flashing, of course. The other one's working. And now there's oil in it. When I put it in gear, both these lights go out. So that's how it should be. to drain the coolant. So I've taken the kickstand off, I took the brake pedal off, I've disconnected the oil feed and bunged it, I've disconnected the oil feed from the carburetor manifold and bunged it. And that's a start. Anyway, and probably something else. Oh yeah, I drained the transmission fluid. So now I'm just going to drain the coolant. So I want to take the radiator cap off and undo this. Right, so having undone the front of the exhaust, this little catch here, took off this, undone the clamp here and took the side panel off and undone the clamp. Just a good yank actually, and the whole thing came off, flew off. Which is now going to enable us to reseat this cover with a new oil seal, get to this water pump thingy and take that off so we can get the clutch cover off, and then we'll fix the clutch, and I'll have a look at the carburetor while I've got the coolant drained out. I'll have a look at the carburetor later, but I've got to get the tank off for that, I think. I don't know. I have to have a look. Alright, well, so from the other side, removing the lower radiator hose from the metal tube and removing the nut here from the stud on the exhaust, which I'll just quickly put back so I don't lose it. Well, I've lost it now. Anyway, so then removing the nuts in the sort of sequence, we can expose the clutch cover off the clutch plate, and then put the clutch cover over there. It's only going to be a minute. All I wanted to do is just remove these, replace these springs, adjust this lock nut, make sure this is all good, which it was. Give it a quick clean up, and then carry on as if nothing had happened. Right, further to fixing the clutch springs in and repositioning the cap here with a new oil seal. It's time to rebuild the carburetor, and the first thing I'm going to do, actually, strangely, is remove the battery, and then I'm going to remove the seat, and I think slacken off the airbox so that I can wiggle the carburetor once I've taken the fuel pipes and water pipes off it. Yamaha energy induction system, you know, poop scoop or whatever it's called. Alright, it's not a poop scoop, it's the boost bottle is what it's known as. Anyway, it can stay in place obviously while I get the carburetor out. Had to, you know, you just dismantle a bit of the battery box, and left the top of the carburetor on there, and hoping that the float bowl has fallen off or something.